Today, we're talking to Dan Bowater about the challenges facing houses of worship when they're streaming to their communities.
But what it creates is it creates community, and what people are looking for now is community.
Dan Bowater is a sound engineer that's worked in touring and houses of worship since he was a teenager. He also set up Church Sound Summit, a yearly event held in Trent Vineyard, which helps church sound engineers learn everything audio. Which churches are you working with at the minute?
So at the beginning of the lockdown, so I go to Trent Vineyard, and we started talking about what we're going to do if it got locked down with them fairly early on, probably a couple of weeks before it all kind of really got shut down. And I was also working with a church in Lincoln called a Live Church, and having similar conversations with them after we'd had stuff with Vineyard. So we were kind of like throwing ideas off each other, really, of like, oh well, these guys are doing that, maybe we could do that. And so they were the two main kind of like churches that I've been involved in. I've spoken to a number of people and tried to put people in touch with engineers that were local. So I had a few people ask me, like, we're having these issues. Do you know anybody that's local to, wherever that is, can help us, get the ball rolling? Because I think there definitely felt like that scrabbling time, that everybody knew something was going to kind of come, and so I kind of took the opportunity to try and I didn't really want all the work and all the responsibility of that. I just wanted to try and get people again placed that were maybe local to those places and get them involved. And so obviously Trent is my home church, so that would felt good. And Alive Church in Lincoln was where I grew up, and so I've still got a lot of friends and people that I've worked with a number of times over the years on projects. So they were the two people that I worked with.
And so what were the main challenges for getting stuff produced? Because I presume you air a service every Sunday, and you do stuff during the week as well. But how much of that is pre-produced and how much of it's live, if you do any live streaming at all, or do you just try and be as prepared as you can be? Because live streaming is full of problems. It's never easy, because it's not just the equipment. It's getting stuff onto YouTube or whichever platform you use to air it. So what are the main challenges?
Well, I think with Trent in particular, I think they really thought about what they wanted to do, and I think they realised really early on that actually the presentation is important, but it's important that you get the message across. And so the things that aren't important are things like, actually, is it live? Is it actually happening right now? And because they realised that actually a lot of the things that they would do could be pre-recorded, and so they were quite clever in the way that they did something. So I think they treated it more like a TV show in lockdown kind of concept, where they had a few different pieces that they then pieced together. And so that would be, and they've done it all with fairly budget equipment in on one level, through to some expensive kit at the end, and with some expertise that's kind of putting it all together. So they've got some presenters that kind of like introduce different bits of the service, and they talk like we're talking now. So they'll record something like we are, and say, well, so today coming up, we're gonna have some worship in a little bit, and because we've pre-recorded it, I know it's a great time of worship, and God's going to really talk to us through that. We've got a preach from so and so. We're going to hear from this small group. We're going to go and see what's happening in the community. And so they have all these different bits that they piece together through the week, and then essentially a video editor cuts that together and makes it into a program, and then puts it onto the YouTube and their own website platform, and premieres it at set times. So they're still using it as a set time. So they've got a 9:15 service, an 11:15 service, and a 7 o'clock service. And as far as I'm aware, it's the same thing, but they've just premiered it 3 times as almost like a different file each time. But what it creates community, and what people are looking for now is community. And so there's, on YouTube, there's the chat comments, on the website there's chat comments, and there's people can ask for prayer. So there's people that are almost on there, all the time, that you click a button and then you kind of like, you can have a private chat and get some prayer. And so I think from what I've seen, a lot of those churches, and they've got the resources, but actually they've done it in quite a way that is quite achievable, I think. And because I've seen a lot of churches kind of like get really bogged down and think, live streaming, we need to live stream this. And then, in the situation your parents are in, they maybe haven't got the expertise or the abilities to do that, and so get really bogged down with doing that.
Well, if my dad's got anything to do with it, no.
And so it's tough, because actually what they want is community. And I think I've seen some churches, and they do Zoom. They've done Zoom church. Yeah. But that has its own, idiosyncrasies as well. I do a Zoom chat with my family every week, and trying to get everybody to kind of like talk or mute themselves when somebody else is talking, and all those kinds of things, which just make it an easier experience to kind of like hear who's talking and that kind of thing. I'm sure on a large scale makes things very, very difficult. Yeah. Well, no, I think that's important to know, because I didn't know how it worked at all, because you kind of take it for granted. I think maybe I did take it for granted that if you watch the service, you think, wow, they've obviously got a team of people doing this and making it all happen live, like you say, like a TV production. But then, when you break it down and you kind of see, right, okay, well, we can record this, we can record that, stick it together, and it does seamlessly go together, and it does appear that it's like a cohesive thing. So with the thing you probably needed to get done before lockdown was the worship with the band. Obviously, so there's a 2 meter social distancing restriction. So that was the other thing that I think these churches that were kind of like ahead of that curve were really clever in just kind of pre-recording. So we pre-recorded 7 sets in about a week or 2 weeks before the lockdown kind of order came in. And that was different worship leaders, but with the basics, same setup: a drum kit, acoustic guitar, like a cello, a couple of vocals, and they just did a really basic kind of setup of that. But the interesting thing that we're seeing now, I think, is that people are responding quite well to seeing. I don't know if you've seen some of the churches where they're using kind of like home DAW technology and recording themselves, like me looking at a camera, playing a guitar, or singing straight to the camera, and being quite clever with that. I think churches are responding well to that, people that are watching it, because they're going, those guys are in the same situation I'm in. And so one of the things that Trent have done, so this last week we did a lockdown worship set, and that was a worship leader, an acoustic guitar, a piano, a bass, a cajon, and a backing vocalist, and they all recorded in isolation, and then we kind of like put it all together, and then I mix that. And that's come out really, really well. And then, but what they have got is they've got somebody who's a very good video editor that then makes it look nice as well. And so they've kind of used multi-screen and kind of like position them and also given it an ebb and flow in the dynamics of the song, so that it's not it's not what's the word, obtrusive, and it's a pleasant listen and a pleasant watch. So the whole idea is that you generally engage in worship, and you're not blown away by the technology or the awfulness of the sound, or the fact that you can see their their pants and socks on the washing line in the background, or do you know what I mean? Those kinds of things that you kind of, in terms of production values, it's those things that the small things actually make quite big differences, and so that ends up being quite important, I think.
Yeah, I think ideally what we'd like to do is obviously we're having a bit of a background from you today, but to meet up in sometime soon, and we can just go over some basic audio stuff. And because it is slightly different, when you're mixing for a room, you can actually hear what's going on, and when you're mixing for a stream or for a video edit, it is slightly different. And so it'd be interesting for you to go through that with us, and we'll try and get the equipment together at some point. And also, we don't know how long this is going to go on for as well.
Yeah.
And I think it's important that, if there's any skills that you can pass on for people that are going to be, going to have the opportunity to get the band together, but not a congregation, to, like I say, put a kind of, various set lists together so that they can, produce something that, week to week is a bit more relevant or a bit more interesting. So if you can help with that would be fantastic. It's so going forward, are you going to be allowed to get people together? Is it still very much locked down at the minute? And even though, because it's a strange situation, I know some people are kind of like doing some kind of streaming now, as long as they keep their distance, but people's safety is first and foremost. But do you see a time when you can get together and do something soon?
We've talked about it with Trent. What the situation could be, and like I said, they're pretty good at planning and thinking, and you can kind of see where things are going. And I think you're right. I think we will get into a position that maybe a group of 20 people could meet, but not a group of 200 people or 1,000. So, Trent is a church of about 700 or 800 people for each service. And so I don't think that's going to be anytime soon, unless I'm misreading kind of what's going on. So I think there will be a situation where we will have that potential kind of less socially isolated, but actually we're beginning to ramp things up a little bit in terms of the home setups as well. So people are upskilling and learning how to do things. So, obviously some of the people, the band, the keyboard players, the drummers often have got computer setups anyway. They've got Ableton, they've got Logic. So it's not that difficult just to add some little extra elements, a microphone, maybe an interface. So I think maybe that's going to become more prevalent, and it's going to be how do we stream that? I don't mean streamline, probably is a better word. How do we streamline that process so that becomes an efficient process? Because obviously the most efficient way is to do that live and to mix it as they're playing. But there isn't the technology available at the moment that actually is that is possible.
Well, latency is a massive problem, isn't it? I think if we could get the latency sorted, we'd all be, enjoying the experience a lot more.
So the process is the hard thing, and making sure that everybody's playing in time, and that they can hear all the right bits at the right times, and that they know where the arrangement's going, and And then visually kind of creating something which is engaging but not distracting. And I think, I think that's the key. Although, again, I don't want to disagree with myself, but I've seen some great little bits where people literally sat like this and they're singing into their computer microphone and they've got an acoustic guitar and a vocal, and it works really well. But I think for the larger churches, I think they're just very aware that a lot of people look into those things, even if they're from a non-church background, often are looking in. And I think if the quality isn't there, then it's very easy just to channel hop and go find something else. And so I think that's always the tension of like production values versus authentic kind of like. We had a discussion the other day with somebody, and they were like, "Oh, why aren't churches doing this level of live streaming all the time?" And we're like, well, actually, it's a lot more work than just doing a normal church service.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you've got to get the band in, and because I'm presuming a lot of the band members, they've got full-time jobs, and if you've got to employ someone to put it all together as well, it's quite an undertaking.
Yeah, and so it's literally you are doing a TV show, and it's like those things aren't short on staff, are they? If you ever get behind the scenes of them, there's hundreds and hundreds of people there. Yeah, and it's just how long's a piece of string when it comes to production, isn't it? It's how good do you want it to be? The difficulty for me is when I'm mixing it, is letting it go, letting the final version go. So I'll send them like version 1, and I'll go, and I haven't had much feedback of like things that they want to change, but I've sent them like version 2 and version 3 because I've gone, I just heard this, and and I'd want to encourage everybody that just like to don't be scared to kind of ask questions, either of us or other professionals that they know that are out there doing the job. And like I think you're never too old to learn, and I'm still going on YouTube and watching things from other people and just saying, oh yeah, that sounds like a good idea, and try it, and either works for you or it doesn't work for you. And it's I think that's the great thing with audio. There's not one way to do something.
No, there isn't. And although if you speak to every sound engineer, you'll get a different way of doing it.